Hello and welcome to the FleeceFolk Diary. My name is Azra and you can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as the Duchess of Sussex. Today I'm joining you from beautiful Margaret River in Western Australia, and I've just left Perth and I've ducked into a few Perth yarn stores, and I might insert a few clips of the goodies that were available. I was very good, I was really well behaved. I did not purchase a lot of stuff that I can get anyway where I'm based in Australia, and I really wanted to focus on fleece and fibre from Western Australia and Perth locally, even if that's a possibility. So I ducked into a few stores, but I did all of my buying at Bilby Yarns. Bilby is based in Willagee. It's not very far from Perth CBD. I think it's really worth checking out. It is really easy to miss. It doesn't look like it's part of a shopping complex, but they had beautiful raw fleece available, washed fleece, wool tops, mix-ins like silk, alpaca, Angelina fibre. They also had spinning wheels, spindles. They were kind of a spinner's paradise, but you have to sort of sort through a few things, so I thought I'll show you what I got. I think I have to get the most exciting thing out of the way, otherwise I'm going to keep staring at it. This year I was supposed to go to the Bendigo Sheep and Wool Show, but I couldn't make it due to various circumstances. By the way, I'm at Margaret River Motel, and every motel or little cabin is named after a kind of wine, and we are in Saint-Emilion. And I'm sitting across a few others. I know Rosé was back there and your Cab Sav, but I was supposed to go to the Bendigo Sheep and Wool Show and I couldn't make it, and I said to myself, I have really easy access to a lot of superfine merino, a lot of Perendale, and I hope that through this channel that I can show that there is more to Australian fibre and fleece than merino. We do love our merino, but there's more to us than that. But my goal with the Bendigo Sheep and Wool Show was to potentially get some Gotland fleece. Gotland flocks are really rare in Australia. They are native to Sweden, but the moment I walked in and I saw the racks of fleece, this caught my eye. So she does split her fleece, and I imagine that this bag was split from something else, but I have with me 300 grams of Gotland fleece, and I've never worked with Gotland before. I didn't know what to expect, but I pulled out a lock. It's about as long as my arm. But it's just so lofty, and I know that when this washes and I flick these long tips, this reminds me a bit of what I see in Icelandic breeds, but I can't wait to work with this. I can't tell if the fleece is a light gray or if that is all dirt. That remains to be seen, but we'll see. So I finally have my hands on Gotland. That is my first time, that will be my first time purchasing Gotland, so there'll hopefully be a video in the future about that. The other thing that I restrained myself from buying but caved in with were some dreamy wool tops. They're called dreamy wool tops, and this is in the dark feathering. I did also, because I do have to fly back, get this proper backpack. So this is 200 grams and this is 100 grams backpacked, which is pretty handy. The 100 grams were retailing for $12, which is pretty good. But this is in the dark feathering colorway, and she said this was a blend of Perendale, merino, potentially Polworth, but she sources fibre in Western Australia that is of similar micron count and similar sort of staple length, so it's a lovely blend to spin. There aren't sort of different short and long fibers that you have to navigate, but this I am thrilled about. I'll insert a quick little video of me fondling some samples that she had spun up some sample skeins from the wool tops that she did have. This is a blend of the dark, I think they called it the black. They had 4 different kinds of wool top. One was like the silver, then there was a moored beige, then there was something medium, and then the black, which is really dark brown. And this is a marl of the darker and the moored beige, and it's just gorgeous. I have a lot of lessons that I learned in my hunt for West Australian fleece and West Australian fibre, and I'll have to speak about that at a different time. I'm trying to get this video down before I lose light. Anyway, so I've got that also vac packed, and then I started this podcast to highlight Australian fibre, and I realized that I need to really be more open and sort of widen my horizon on what I think is available in Australia. I saw she had a little sort of cubby where she had these little bumps. Look at that. Sorry for all the crinkling. This is 100 grams of Perendale. I thought a lot of, or almost all Perendale that we have in Australia came from Aotearoa, New Zealand, but she said the Perendale was actually from Victoria. So this is Australian grown and Australian processed Perendale. I'll have to hunt down the flock and hunt down a potential farm and see if they'd be willing to sell me some raw fleece to process, because why not? I have knit with Perendale yarn before, and that did come from Aotearoa, New Zealand. It is not the softest yarn, it's no merino or Corriedale, but it still makes a lovely garment. I think it's particularly lovely for color work, because the yarn can be, at least the yarn I had was a little toothy, so it can sort of lock in with neighboring stitches quite well and create a sort of seamless, beautiful color work with stranded color work piece. And then the final bit, just for like $3, were silk caps. Now I have seen in some fibre shows silk cocoons that are dyed up, and I think the dyer at the time did tell me you can spin right off the cocoon. I thought that was this, but silk caps, pardon the crinkling, are I guess called silk caps for a reason. The lady who owns the store, I believe, said that she kept doing this and drawing a large circumference. She said, well, when you unravel the cap, and I'm thinking, I was picturing a cocoon, so I wasn't sure why she was drawing this huge circumference. But she said it's in layers, and so it is. There are various layers to this, but it literally is like a swimming cap. You can get right in there. And I think you can pull this apart. What I might do with this, I don't know. Do you have any ideas on how I process this? Because it is the softest thing, and you know, I could just pull these fibers and spin it or blend it with something. I don't know. I guess I could like tear this and pull the fiber, kind of like spinning from the fold. It might come apart. I don't want to mess with it too much. Oh, my hair. Love weaving my hair into things. But I bought these silk caps and they're so cheap. I regret not also getting the pulled silk from Hankies. She did also have that backpacked, but I don't know if I'm going back to Perth. If I go back to Perth, I might pay her a visit again. But if not, I have seen some silk hankies around with other stores. Please leave some for me when I give you this information, but I know that Handmade by Catkin, who's based in Canberra, does also have dyed silk hankies, and I think little Aussie craft store, I'll have to put her details down here, she also had some dyed hankies. It looks really stiff in photos, but after handling silk caps and after seeing how you can pull silk hankies and how fluffy it can get, I think I'm ready to dive in. I know Julian Eve does have a video on spinning off a drop spindle using silk hankies. And all of that was really quite affordable. It came to something like $50, which is not bad at all. Why I wanted to make this video was to say that although Bilby Yarns is on Instagram, they are not active on a website as yet. That is something I spoke to them about. I do feel like it's such a huge operation to be there are producers of wool that are also wool farmers that take care of the animals, go through the animal husbandry, the day-to-day care, the vetting, and then the lambing and the shearing. Like, it's such a huge operation to then also pivot and have to manage the bizcomm end of it with the website and the update and the stock take. It must just be so arduous, and it's such a huge operation to take on board when usually these crafters or these producers and vendors are, you know, family run, or it's just run by one person or only a couple handful of people. And it is challenging to keep up with technology and the changing, evolving market, right? So I really feel like it's up to us as the consumers to seek out local produce, local fleece, local fiber. Bilby Yarns was introduced to me through a quick Google search. I think I caught their logo off of someone's video at a WA craft gathering, and I was like, oh, I haven't heard of Bilby Yarns, they aren't online. So I was just curious about them anyway, and when I found out I was going to be in Perth and they were close enough, I had to add them to as a stop. So Bilby Yarns, they describe themselves as a wool depot for Melanian Sheep Breeders Society. They are also dealers of Ashford in Western Australia, I believe. They have spinning wheels, parts, hand or drum carders, weaving looms, fleece and fibers for spinning, felting and needle felting, yarns, tools and accessories for weaving, knitting and crochet. They are also dealers for shaft and luet spin and gay wool dyes. If you're a fan of Warthoff Fibres, I believe she also uses gay wool dyes, but you'll have to fact check me on that. They do have I'll put their email address and all their contact details below, because she did say when I asked about a website that she does mail orders. So if you want to write an email to her and tell her what you are looking for, whether it's dyed wool top, she does say that she showed me that she had this beautiful yarn that she sends off to be spun and dyed, over dyed specifically for her, and that's all within Australia, and I think mostly within Western Australia as well. So yeah, I was really enamored by the collection. I was really sad that they weren't better known to me. I am on, you know, a separate part of Australia, and granted, if you're from Western Australia and if you've heard of Bilby Yarns, do let me know in the comments what you love from their collection. But that's my little haul. I am limited by the weight that I can carry back home. I am sad that I won't be able to dive into this as soon as I'd like, but look out for that in a future video. I might insert a few clips of my visits to other two Perth yarn stores. I managed to visit Calico and Ivy. They do quilting and quilting, sewing and knitting, crochet. Not so much spinning, but they are available online. They carry a lot of the Nordic brands, so I saw a lot of Sandnesgarn, I saw Isair, I saw Knitting for Olive there as well. They had an extensive selection in addition to Hedgehog Fibres and a few other brands. I think there was something Prue that I hadn't seen before. They also had Jamieson Spindrift. I find that in Australia you can only find Jamieson and Smith, but they had Jamieson Spindrift, and I think Spindrift does carry a few mixes that Jamieson and Smith doesn't. I know sometimes for Shetland Wool Week, a lot of the designers will use Spindrift and not Jamieson and Smith, or the other way around. So Calico and Ivy, ring them up. They were really helpful to the people that came up to the counter and said, I've got mum at home who wants to learn knitting, can you recommend something? And they were really accommodating to their customers. So check them out, Calico and Ivy. I also did go to Yarns on Collie, and she's based in Fremantle. She's right near the beach, and she was lovely to chat to. She was knitting at the counter, and all the samples in the store were made by her. She carries a lot of Australian yarn as well, but also kind of your general heirloom stock, and your Fiore and your Filatura di Crossa. She had a few sort of, she had organized by wool, and then cotton, and then bamboo, and then the acrylic, and she had a huge selection of patterns, kind of like pattern books that you can sit at the table and flip through. But she was very helpful and very accommodating as well. So that has been my Perth yarn adventure so far. I could not wait until I recorded my Bilby Yarns fibre haul. I wish I had bought a drop spindle so I could get into some of this. I'm half tempted to wash a lock of this Gotland, but the weather is not accommodating for that, so it's gonna have to wait until I get home. But yeah, if you're ever in Perth, please come check them out. Please reach out to Bilby Yarns. And yeah, if you know, wherever you are in the world, I hope you can reach out and sort of do a bit of research and be stealthy and sleuth around for your local fibre producers that cherish and that pass on the tradition of locally sourced fibre. I'll see you next time.